Hey everyone, welcome back. I am the One-Eyed Crow, and today I wanted to talk to you about two recent developments in the world of MetaZoo. The first one being the NYC King promo card. And the first thing I thought we'd do is just recap what happened in Times Square over the last few months. So if we go back to February 9th, that's when we got our first real clue that something was going to happen at Times Square. This was two emojis dropped in the Discord announcement channel of a clock and a black square, and some people had identified this immediately as meaning Times Square, and well, they were right. As we move forward to March 17th, that was when they first displayed the mock-up of what the ad was going to look like. It wasn't live yet, so we know it was just a mock-up. It was what they had designed to go onto the ad, and this was the first real indicator that this was actually going to be real, that this what really meant Times Square. Moving forward to April 1st is when the ad officially dropped in Times Square for the Wilderness release, which was promoting the release of Wilderness. And if you scanned the QR code, it would bring you to the MetaZoo marketplace to purchase Wilderness booster boxes, blister packs, release decks, etc. And then a week after that, on April 7th, is when we got our first look at the Rat King, and they dropped this in two waves. Initially, they dropped just a close-up image of the Rat King's head with the crown. That was quickly removed. And then they had dropped the image of Times Square with the Rat King promo behind it. 3 days after that, on April 10th at the MetaZoo Hour, we got confirmation that the way to redeem the Rat King was going to be through taking a selfie, scanning the QR code, and then something else. They didn't really give too many details. And then yesterday, April 19th, the ad is now live at Times Square. You can go to Times Square, you can take your selfie with the billboard, scan the QR code, upload your picture, put in your address, and at some point in the future, you should receive a NYC King promo. Now, there's a lot of concerns here about people just photoshopping themselves onto somebody else's image. What's really stopping anyone from doing that? And if you're a good photoshopper, you can make it look real enough. I mean, if you do what this guy did, obviously they're not going to take it seriously and they're going to move on. And I'm curious what protections are in place, if any, to ensure that people just aren't photoshopping themselves from home and uploading the image. And two ideas that I kind of had around that is they could be doing some kind of IP check. They could be checking to see when you upload the image, is it coming from somewhere in New York City or somewhere that makes sense that you could have gone to New York City to take the image and upload it. And then the other thing they could have done, which I don't think is probably true because of the dynamic nature, it would take a lot of forethought to do this, is have QR codes that have something embedded in them for uniqueness, maybe the timestamp that the QR code was displayed on the screen. And if you get duplicate timestamps coming in, comparing the images to make sure that it's not basically the same background. But unlikely that they're doing anything like that due to the dynamic nature of the QR code that would have to happen there and the sheer manpower required to then compare all of the images. So I am curious to understand what they're doing to prevent photoshopping, if anything. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, which dropped this morning at 6:51 a.m., was something I can only describe as space clams. And it's an image depicting three space clams. They're clam-shaped aliens of some sort with tentacles and three horns, and it looks like they're attacking Saturn's rings for some reason. In the background, you can see Jupiter, which is Saturn's neighbor, so we're definitely in outer space, something to do with probably a cosmic beastie of some sort. And what I find really interesting is on the back right of the card, there's clearly a constellation there. And art is a deliberate form of media. So for somebody to draw that and actually draw the lines between the stars, it's very deliberate. And if we compare this image to some of the common constellations, it has a striking resemblance to Capricorn. So that could have some kind of significance to what they're trying to hint at with saying this piece of art is one of 10 that will make TCG history. What does that exactly mean? Who knows? And surprisingly, if you Google space clams, you actually get some hits. So the two notable hits was first a Pathfinder Creature Codex entry, which goes on to say that they are not truly clams, and they do not truly live in space, but in the upper atmosphere. So, that was interesting, not really related to what we're seeing here. And the other one was for a podcast that follows the adventures of space clams saving the universe from the forces of evil. And this only had one episode, 22 minutes. It released in 2020. And if we look at the synopsis for that first and only episode, it reads, "Evil genius Muscle and his crew have taken Princess Pearl hostage and plan to exchange her for the return of the Black Orb. This planet-destroying weapon is safely in the hands of the space clams, who embark on their mission to save the princess. When things don't go according to plan, a space clam and a sea mussel get marooned on an alien planet. The two sworn enemies will have to work together if they're going to get off the planet alive." And I'm actually a little disappointed that there's only one episode. Anyway, those are the two things that I really wanted to touch on today. Let me know if you're going to be in New York City and you're going to be actually getting this New York City King promo. And also let me know what you think of these space clams, or what they might actually be or might represent. What makes them so special that 1 out of 10 are going to make TCG history. So thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.